Welcome to the Retro Blood.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Retro Blood. As we start off a brand new month here in the month of December 2024, the holidays are upon us, and the Retro Blood is talking all about bad kids and evil bad toys. Because up next, if y'all like radioactive gothic hands that turn grown-ups into melted microwave disasters, if y'all like some girl who's sunbathing and has a jacked up dude who's oiled up right next to her, and if y'all like the worst sheriff ever in horror history, then this is the review for you, because the Retro Blood is talking all about the children. J.H. Alison, James Kline. What's happened, Alison? How was your stay at the nuclear site of Ravensback? How was it?
It was fine. This movie was just okay to me. I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it either.
You know,
it was okay.
It had its moments. You know what I mean? You got a couple titties. You got some jack dude who's all oiled up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We have some gothic hands melting people. It's not that bad. So, this one is, I feel like this one so far is our cursed show, because we've been having like the most technical difficulties getting the show out there.
Yeah, this is take number 2, if you will.
Yeah, tape number 2. We did like the whole show. And then like I fucking go to set it up, and not only is that vanished, but all my hard copies of like our previous shows were vanished.
Yeah.
Very strange.
And I was going to say, it doesn't really, this kind of situation doesn't really work for our show because, as some of you may know, our show started with me and James just sitting in bars talking about horror movies.
Yeah.
And then we decided, in our great pride, that everyone in the world would want to hear us sit around, drink beer, and talk about horror movies and heavy metal and professional wrestling. So we did it for the whole world. You're welcome, everyone.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But so when we do a show, it's a conversation. It's kind of, off the cuff. We don't really plan anything, and we just talk. And now we talked, but the talk is gone, and now we have to do the talk again. But we just had the talk. So now I don't know. It's weird. It's weird having this conversation again. Like, we just talked about this, but now we have to do it again. So here we are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you gotta keep the talking going.
You got to keep the talking going. Yeah.
That's how it goes. But yeah, it's just been a little tough with this one, but we're pushing on through. Okay. Over here on the Retro Blood, that's how we do it. But we do got some great reviews for everybody for this month of Retro Blood, which we'll go over the full list after we finish up this one. But like we did last year, and like we promised everybody for this year, we are going to be talking about the stouts of the month that we have going on for this month.
Yes.
So I talked about one on our lost episode for good. And I actually have this other one I want to try here. So I'm actually going to try it live on our second recording of the children.
Because we're not doing it in the morning anymore.
Do you think, you know what I think it was, while we have a second recording of the children? This fucking Sheriff Billy Hart was so bad that like the fucking Ethernet of the world, or like wherever the cloud goes, they're just like, we don't want to hear about this piece of shit. Because this guy sucked, bro. He was like the worst sheriff known to man. You know what I mean? All right, let me try this one. So the one I'm about to drink, it's called Ginger Snap Oatmeal Stout, brother. Let's give it Oh yeah. Oh shit, that's some good shit right there. God damn. Whew, this one's really good. So this one has a lot of flavor to it. So it's one of those stouts where you can actually taste like the oatmeal and the ginger on it.
Yeah.
And it's pretty sweet looking. It has like an evil looking gingerbread guy, and he's surrounded by a bunch of Christmas lights. and the can looks like very chocolatey and stuff. And there's actually one ginger man up there that's like he's been eating. He's on there too.
Oh shit! I coughed. Yeah.
Oh, you're good. And then this one's also made by a Deep Riverbed Brewing.
So. Okay, where's that at?
Let me see if it says where it's at. Fucking Deep Riverbed. It's not really saying where it's actually made at, which is crazy, unless I'm blind. What? Wait, no. I got it. Clayton, North Carolina.
Clayton, good old Clayton.
Boy, that Clayton boy, they make some good beer up there.
Yeah, a lot of good people from Clayton, I hear.
There you go. Yeah, but this one, so it's the right amount of dark, but it's also like really sweet. So like you can get tricked by this beer. It's one of those tricky ones.
Yeah.
Where you can keep drinking it because it tastes so fucking good, and then next thing you know, you're fucking drunk as shit. But it's 8%, so that's why it probably wasn't as bitter as the last one I did on the last episode.
On the episode, on the one we don't have anymore. Yeah, there was another beer that was also
the one was
11%. Yeah, maybe that's why it's lost. You're drinking like 11% beers while we're recording.
Yeah, no, exactly. I was too drunk, and I just went away. But this one tastes a lot better. Like this one's a lot easier to go down, and it's like very smooth, I would say. So anybody, if you ever see it out there, it's called Ginger Snapped Oatmeal Stout. It's made by Deep River Brewing. Good shit. Fucking good shit on here. So I'm probably gonna have to get this one again because it tastes fucking good. Get that shit from Clayton, brother.
Yeah. Big wrestling town Clayton is, I hear.
So Alison, what's the one?
So what am I drinking? I am drinking.
Do they even have wrestling?
I don't know. I made that shit up. I have no idea. I don't even know where Clayton is. I think it's down in the eastern part of the state. Maybe. I don't know. Somebody in Clayton. I'm sure there's good people in Clayton. I've just never been there. I'm a lifelong North Carolina resident too. So don't come at me with that shit. But anyway, what am I drinking? I am drinking Highland Brewing Black Watch. That is my beer of tonight. Black Watch is a is a milk stout. It's a double chocolate milk stout. It's 8%, so it's pretty high up there too. It normally comes out in January and February. I had these left over from last year. I had them cellared in my utility room, if you will. I like it. So
does your utility room have radioactive goth kids in there?
No, it has beer. No kids, only beer.
I was way off.
You were way off. But yeah, it's not really temperature controlled, but it's under the ground, so it's like a cellar basically. So I can put stuff down there and it stays the same temperature most of the time. So it's I like the sorry, I got off track. I like this beer a lot. It's very milky is the way I would describe it. Like it's not really necessarily thick, but it's got a good thickness to it. It feels good on the tongue. It tastes good. It's kind of sweet, which is how I think that most stouts should be. You should be able to drink a stout with like a dessert. You should be able to get like what's really good with a stout? If you have a stout and then you get like ice cream and churros, that shit's really good with the cinnamon, and it goes really well with the stout. Yeah, you should be able to drink a stout with like a churros and ice cream, I think, for dessert.
Right.
But yeah, Black Watch, it'll Highland will have it out again in January or February. But it's a great beer, and cheers to everybody out there for hanging with us for a week for our late show.
Yeah. Do you think that Jack dude, what was his name? Was it Teddy, Jim or something?
Oh, that was Jim.
Jim, yeah. You think he drinks a lot of stouts?
No, I didn't. I think he just is stout.
Oh yeah. Well, maybe if they put like protein in the drink, I mean,
like I protein stout. That's what you need to create.
Yeah.
You need to create a protein stout. You would get rich.
Bro, how jacked was that dude?
Yeah.
I mean, he could have been like the Hulk or something.
I know. That guy was super.
What do you think he's on? Test?
Yeah.
What? He's on the Ultimate Warrior steroids, brother.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I bet that guy's not alive today.
Well, we'll talk a little bit about him pretty soon on the Who Booked This Shit. But everybody, we're going to keep this train rolling because this beer is going to be hitting me all show,
Yeah,
which is
we got
good. But like every Retro Blood, let's talk about what is going on in the world of the pro wrestling and the metal music. Retro Blood. We're basically like Christmas 24/7 because we give you some small gifts and then we whack you with the big gift at the end. So with the children, it actually has 2 release dates.
It does.
All right. One of them is on June 6, 1980 in Tucson. Did I say that right this time? Tucson, Arizona?
Yeah.
I fucked that up. I fucked that up bad on the other one. Maybe I'm glad that because I sounded like shit on the other one. All right.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk about the June 6, 1980 dates, and then Allison's gonna talk about the September 26, 1980 date with the metal music. So I will go first.
You do it.
Yes. So basically, what we have on the June 6, 1980 date, which is a pretty fun, interesting thing in the world of pro wrestling at the time, was New Japan Pro Wrestling in Tokyo, Japan, at the Sumo Hall. They drew 10,000 fans, and what I can only consider to a modern day fan to explain it is this is based that New Japan and the WWF were having at the time. Now, back then, it wasn't really, like a Forbidden Door type of card because, they just had a working relationship with each other.
Right.
But that's basically what the show is. It's basically like 2 worlds colliding on this card, which is pretty crazy to see. Like a lot of these matchups and stuff that you can see very early on in 1980.
Exactly.
So the first one I want to talk about is we have Chavo Guerrero Sr. All right. Defeated.
Chavo classic.
Yeah, the classic brother. Defeated Kobayashi. All right. We have Dusty Rose and Tito Santana. What a team that is. That's a random team. They beat Ryu Guyo and Kingo Kimura. All right. We have one of the famous Japanese wrestlers of all time, Riki Chosu, and strong Kobayashi defeated the mega team of a young Hulk Hogan and Bad News Allen. What do you think about that one?
That would have been awesome. I would love to see that match. I'm sure that's not on anything that we can watch. I'm sure it's not on New Japan. It's probably not on WWE either. Because
I don't know where to find that shit at.
There is
Maybe
some
YouTube?
Hulk Hogan stuff on New Japan, but I think it's all either. I'm not sure why they have some of it, but they don't have anything that might be copywritten by WWE. Although this would have been pre-WWE Hulk Hogan. So they might have this. I should look and see.
Well, this might be like when he was doing his heel run.
Yeah, in AWA.
Interesting. Maybe, yeah.
Or maybe when he went to WWE and then got fired for making Rocky 3.
Yeah, I think this is when he was doing his WWF run. You know what I mean? And then this is right before Rocky 3, probably.
Yeah, yeah. So that might actually be on the on New Japan World. I haven't looked. It could be.
So the next match we have is your classic wrestling style match. And I bet this match would actually be pretty cool to see live if you like technical wrestling, technical mass wrestling. Is Bob Backlund. He defeated Tetsuya Fujinami.
Oh, that would have been awesome.
Yeah. And apparently, I guess we might have talked about this before, but I keep forgetting, we have a tournament going on for the annual New Japan Madison Square Garden League tournament. Now, Allison, do you want to tell us what that has actually turned into?
Yeah, so basically that's what the G1 is now. So originally it was called, I cannot remember the very original name, and then it was called what it was called during this, the MSG tournament or whatever they called it. And then it became the IWGP tournament, which stands for so the IWGP is the governing body of New Japan. So it's like the International Wrestling Grand Prix, I think is what it stands for. And their title was called the IWGP title until they ruined it a couple of years ago and made a New Japan heavyweight title. But and then eventually it became the G1, which is like a tournament. It's a round robin tournament where every wrestler well, they're split up in blocks, and every wrestler fights every other wrestler in the blocks, and then whoever has the best record, the two best people with the best records go into the finals, and then whoever wins that now gets a shot at the title at Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah.
And it happens in June or July, usually every year. Although this year they already blew that. They've already had they already had the main event of Wrestle Kingdom, so now we got to have another one. So Wrestle Kingdom's kind of going to be a surprise this year. Yeah.
Well, kind of like they're talking about was it Umino or something? He might be injured. So
yeah,
I think they said the injury wasn't like too bad. So I guess we'll see what happens. But this tournament is crazy. Like the first, check this one out. This is kind of fuckery over here. You'll like it. So we have Andre the Giant, who's in the tournament, pinned CG Skokechi.
Sure.
Probably fucked up that name.
That's close
and
enough.
then we had Stan Hansen face Andre the Giant, and he beats Andre the Giant. Viva the Deadly 1980s count out.
Oh yeah, because you can't because you can't
pin him, brother.
Andre. No, you can't pin Andre. I bet that was really tough to book Andre. Yeah. Because I mean, what are you gonna do with him? I mean, like people, like you book him because people will come to see him, but you can't have him lose. He can't. Well, he could lose, obviously, but he can't be pinned. So what do you do? Like, you the only way you can get him out of a tournament is to have him lose by count out or disqualification.
Yeah, most of the time. Yeah. I mean, because you want to keep him as this big, attraction. Basically, that's what he was pretty much almost his whole career.
Yeah.
So most of his, besides him being in battle royals or winning, most of it would probably be like disqualifications or canons for him losing.
Yeah. But he did win it a couple of years later, but he didn't win it this year. As we'll see who won it when we get to the end.
And of course, the man who took the tournament from the 1980s is, of course, probably one of the most famous Japanese wrestler and pro wrestlers of all time, Antonio Inoki. He won the grueling tournament in a hard fight over Stan Hansen. You know how he won, Alison?
Oh,
disqualification.
What?
Damn it.
Well, I guess you. Well, I guess you can win. I guess you can win the G1 by disqualification.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you can. I mean, it doesn't say it has to be pinfall, and it's non-title, so I guess you can. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess you're winning. Yeah.
Weird. Okay.
It is now.
But yeah, Stan Hansen, man, I love that guy. He is like the face of Japanese wrestling as an American. Like he's the famous American to wrestle in Japan. I always loved him coming down the ramp with his chaps on and no shirt and his cowboy hat with tobacco juice like running down his chest.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
Yeah, here's a wild one. That story about him in the AWA is crazy, where he like takes the belt and takes it to Japan because they paid him more.
Yeah,
and then they want the belt back, so he just runs it over with his car and he chips it back. Shit was great.
Man, they always abuse the New Japan belt because they would not get paid, and then like I think Brock Lesnar still has a IWGP belt because he wouldn't.
Oh yeah,
because he won it and then never went back to Japan again, and they had to like figure out something. But yeah, Stan Hansen, Lariato, the master of Lariat. Man. Yeah.
So, but yeah, some good wrestling stuff. You know what I mean? We can catch that New Japan show and go to the local In and Out Peep Show and see the children.
See the children.
So, but apparently, like in Arizona, this is like the hot ticket.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah.
We'll talk about here pretty soon. So, but what do we got going on in the metal music there, Alice?
Before we move to that, so some of this tournament is on New Japan World if anybody wants to see it. Stan Hansen versus Andre the Giant is on there. Stan Hansen versus Andre the Giant is on there. And
oh shit, that'd be fun.
Chavo versus Fujinami.
Oh,
so I'm sure it's a rights issue. There's not a lot from 1980 on there. There's only like 5 matches and for the whole year. But from that particular show, there is two matches from the show: the Andre and versus Stan, and then Chavo versus Fujinami. So yeah, I'm sure it's a rights issue. It's just like whatever they could get the rights cleared for these kind of things. But but yeah, so what are we talking about? So we're talking about September 26, 1980. So a couple of things happened, one really good and one really bad. So the day before this was the day that John Bonham died, which is the legendary drummer for Led Zeppelin. He passed away from alcohol intoxication the day before. And then the day of the movie, Queen was on tour with their tour for the Game. So the Game was the 1980 tour that they did right before they did the Flash Gordon soundtrack, and the Game was a big hit for them. So they were kind of a huge band at the time. They were kind of, on top of the world. They were playing arenas all over America and Europe and football stadiums in England and places like that. But one notable thing about this tour is this is the first tour where Freddie Mercury showed or exhibited his look, the Freddie Mercury look, if you will, like the way we think about Freddie Mercury today with the mustache and the leather and all that was debuted on this tour. And he got a lot of pushback for it at the time. Like a lot of the fans didn't like the mustache. And every night on the show, during the show, he would ask people about it. Like he would ask the audience what they thought of his mustache.
That's interesting.
And like some people would cheer and some people would boo. And but yeah, so this is like the birth of like the Freddie Mercury that we know, because before this, and with the short hair and everything, because before this, Freddie he would wear those jumpsuits on stage, like the onesies kind of outfits. And then he had the long hair with the like short right over his forehead and that kind of thing. So that's kind of what he looked like, but he's kind of switched to this real like macho, mustachioed leather persona. But this is a really good tour. There's a bunch of these shows, not this particular one, but there's a bunch of these shows on YouTube in audio form. And the night of the 26th, they were playing in Boston at the Boston Garden. And they opened with Elvis Presley's Jailhouse Rock. And then the second song they played, they went straight into the fast version of We Will Rock You. So like not a lot of people are familiar with that, but there was a fast version of We Will Rock You, because We Will Rock You typically does the little, the thing that everybody knows. But there's a fast version where the drums are fast and it has guitars in it, and he's singing really fast. And I think it's actually better than the famous version. But I believe they only played it live that way, so there's no studio version of this. But they played that, and they also played my favorite. Well, it's probably not my favorite. One of my favorite Queen songs, which is I'm in Love with My Car, which was written and recorded and sang by the drummer Roger Taylor. So another thing about Queen that was cool for bands is they all wrote songs. They all wrote songs individually. So the bass player wrote songs, Freddie wrote songs, Brian May wrote songs, and Roger Taylor, the drummer, wrote and sang songs. And he sang the song live while he played the drums. And he's a great singer too. But it's basically just a love song to his car, where he talks about grabbing the gear shift, and things like that. So it's sort of like
sounds like Christine that we did last year.
Yeah, exactly. This should have been written for Christine, where he's
look it up, brother, in
the archives. He was grabbing the gear shift and talking about how much he loves holding the gear shift, and it's fantastic. Such a great song. But yeah, that's basically. Oh, and then for the encore, they played one of the encores was "We Are the Champions," which they dedicated to John Bonham, who, as I said, had passed away the day before. So that was kind of a cool, bittersweet moment in heavy metal history there.
Yeah, very interesting. Yeah, I always like that Freddie Mercury look. It looks like his iconic look now, which is crazy.
Yeah, because that's the same look that the girl that's in AEW does. I can't think of her name. The Japanese girl that comes. She's not there now.
Sheeta?
No,
Oh, okay.
the girl. There was a girl they got from New Japan or from Stardom that would come in. She hasn't been there like a year or so, but she would come in and she does a Freddie Mercury thing. She even has a fake mustache, I think. But she wears like the Freddie Mercury outfit. I can't think of her name. But yeah, so that's the Freddie. He's wearing the Freddie Mercury outfit that everybody thinks of Freddie Mercury is wearing.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this was the birth of what we think of as Freddie's persona. But yeah,
there we go, brother.
Queen's a
Rocking
great
it
band.
up. You think he was? You think he was in line for the drive-in theater? You know what I mean? To see the children.
He might have
in
been
1980.
He might have been, but as with most people who went to the drive-in theater, the movie was probably the last thing on his mind.
Ain't that the truth? Well, speaking of that, let's get into who booked this shit.
Yeah, tell me, who booked this shit?
So it's this guy named Max. All right.
Right.
Fucking Max. McWixick? I don't even know how to say his fucking last.
Yeah.
So this guy, apparently he's known for this movie.
And not much
that's
else.
why, and that must matter. Dreams Come True, 1984, and Horrorcon.
So didn't he work audio on? So he still worked in movies and TV for a long time, but he mostly worked as like a cameraman or like a sound editor or something like that. So
well,
I mean, he directed other movies.
Well, I mean, what we're about to talk about, we kind of figured out why he doesn't direct any other movies.
Yeah. After you see this, you'll understand why he doesn't direct movies now.
So this movie does have some funny shit to it, though.
Yeah.
Which it cracked me up, and I hope it cracks all of you up too. So there's a co-writer, all right, producer Carlton J. Albright. This guy struck several deals in the course of making this film. One of the deals he did was involving giving a favorable charity amount to the cemetery caretakers in order to use that cemetery that we see in the film. You know, the one where the bus is by, that we first meet the first infected goth kid, Billy, or Tommy, I believe his name is. Another involved hiring a local girl as a production assistant, so her father would agree to use the house in the film.
Nice.
So, you know, I like it, man. I like the hustle right there. You know what I mean? That's what you got to do with these small B movies. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You got to do what you got to do, right? I mean, you've made movies before, so you know, like, what do? You get your friends to show up and try to help you make a movie. It's the best you can do sometimes.
Yeah. And apparently Carlton's kids were actually in the film as well.
Yeah, it's better than paying acting kids.
Yeah. So he's like, all right, Sarah, all right, Nathaniel. That's her name. Kids. They are now Ellen, which we see in her. She's a zombie kid.
Yeah.
And Tommy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what his kids are on there. I wonder how much they got paid, or if they got like at least like a basketball.
Probably, I think get paid at all.
Maybe a good Christmas present. Maybe
go help Dad out make this movie. Just do it.
Yeah,
you get a day off school.
So I think the funniest part about this, and I hope it's true, because you know you read this stuff and you learn about it. You don't know if it's actually true, but I hope this part is true. So a guy named Martin Bernena was reportedly a drug dealer who sold cocaine to the cast and crew during the making of the movie.
Oh, that doesn't surprise me. No, I'm sure that's true.
Now, watching this shit, I could definitely see who's doing the cocaine. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure it's everybody, definitely the sheriff and the Jack dude. I could definitely see them do the cocaine.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, I like it, though. I like it. Apparently, this movie is also where they got the inspiration for the film, was from the 3 Mile Island incident that occurred on Wednesday, March 28th, 1979 in Londonderry Township, Pennsylvania.
Sure.
In which there was a partial nuclear meltdown of the Unit 2 reactor of the 3 Mile Island nuclear generating station. Alison, what were you doing during that time, and were you affected?
I was not affected. I unfortunately did not become a goth child. When did it happen again? What was the date?
March 28th, 1979.
Okay, so what was I doing? I was waiting on my birthday, which would come a month later.
There you go.
My
Waiting for
fourth.
those presents.
I was gonna turn 4.
Nice. I
Waiting on my Star Wars figures for my birthday.
I was a twinkle in my dad's eye during this time.
It is weird though. I do remember that birthday specifically.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's weird.
The only birthday I remember is I was a huge fan of Power Rangers. I might have talked about this on here before. But I got the Green Ranger Power Ranger card and I was super happy about it.
Yeah. I got 2 Star Wars figures and I remember which 2 they were specifically. I remember where I was sitting. Well, that's weird. This is off topic. We probably have to edit this out of the show. But I remember this day specifically. Like I remember like where I was sitting. I remember opening the package and seeing the 2 Star Wars figures in it, like just like it happened yesterday. I probably remember it better than I remember what happened yesterday. But anyway, yeah, it's weird. But anyway, 3 Mile Island, yeah. So
yeah,
basically, yeah, this was like a partial nuclear meltdown. Because before 3 Mile Island, they had kind of sold nuclear power as this like futuristic thing where we were going to have this power and it was basically going to be free and it was safe and it wouldn't harm the environment and nothing would ever possibly go wrong. And if we just use these nuclear things to make power, and then we kind of had an accident and then 3 Mile Island, and I don't know if it killed anybody, but it did cause some danger. And that's when people first started thinking that nuclear power may not be as safe as they had said it was. And then a few years later, when Chernobyl and the Ukraine happened, was the Soviet Union at the time, but yeah, when Chernobyl happened, they had a full meltdown there, and it even today it's not safe to go back to a lot of that area too. So that's when that's when people was really like maybe we should back off from nuclear power. But yeah, when 3 Mile Island happened, it scared a lot of people, and I'm sure that it influenced movies like this where people were talking about maybe nuclear power is going to make our kids into goth zombies. Who knows?
Yeah, that can melt you by hugging.
Mm-hmm.
It can happen.
Yeah, those goth hands, you got to cut them off.
So the opening scene with the leak at the nuclear power plant wasn't in the original script. So we had to add that, to give it some more effect. So this one's an interesting one. And we weren't there, but it's been recorded that on opening weekend of this film, a drive-in in Tucson, Arizona had a 6-mile backup.
There's no way that's true.
What is this, Starcade? All right, come on, brother.
Shut down Greensboro.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is no way there was 6 miles of people waiting to see this piece of shit.
The only thing I could think of is
it was a slow night in Tucson.
maybe like all the teenagers like, yeah, I'm gonna go see a film called The Children, and I'm trying to fuck this girl.
Yeah,
watching this movie. I have no idea. That's what they do at the drive-ins. We've seen Blood Rage. We know what they do. Okay, brother.
Yeah,
I have no idea.
That's what drive-ins are all about. It doesn't matter what movie's playing. You just go there and make out and drink beer.
So I don't know about that one, but that's what's been reported. I like this though. There's some drama on the filmmaking, which I like too. So the original idea was that the co-writer, producer Carlton Albright, his friend Edward Terry, who plays Hank, would direct, but some shit happened, and the director ended up being Max Collaman, getting the directing gig. This caused a rift between Albright and Terry's friendship that they eventually mended in time for them to make Luther the Geek.
Yeah, Luther the Geek.
9 years later.
Yeah. So we'll probably end up doing Luther the Geek on the show at some point. We just got to find, it's such an unusual movie. We've got to find some theme month for it to fit in.
Well, what is it about? Some geek named Luther?
Yeah, kind of. No, so it's about this guy who he was so it is about geeks, kind of. So he's like fascinated with like carnival geeks, and he starts decapitating people with like metal teeth. And then he goes to prison, and then he gets out of prison, and then starts killing people again, basically.
Nice, I like it. We'll check it out. Okay, so our boy, the bodybuilder, I like his story. His name was John P. Colagla. He was a bodybuilder and a police officer.
Mm.
All right. Who director Max knew from the gym, brother, that he regularly attended.
That makes sense.
The time this film was shot. So basically, he's working out. It's like, look at that Jack dude. You know what he'd be great in? My movie called The Children. He could be the dad of the slut with the tits hanging out, and she's all jacked and oilied up. That'd be cool.
Yeah. Yeah, that guy's username checks out. Yeah, he definitely fit in to the spot he was playing.
I like it though. Just add some Jack dude on there for no reason, doing curls.
Like, do you want to be in my movie?
He's actually my favorite part. He was in my favorite part of the movie, so we'll get there. Yeah. I like it though. That's who he was. I wonder what kind of he was on that 1980 Hulk Hogan test, brother. All right.
Yes.
So this film was screened for a potential release from New Line Cinema. Well, imagine that.
So that's amazing.
I know.
So like New Line was thinking about releasing this. That's
I can't believe
astounding.
Didn't they release what is it? Okay, New Line. Okay, you know, didn't they do like the Freddie movies and shit?
Yeah. Now the thing. They did the
Yeah.
Freddie movies. The thing you got to remember though, or think about probably, is that New Line wasn't as big as it was after they did Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you got to consider that Nightmare on Elm Street was considered a risk too.
Yeah.
It was just a well-made, well-written movie, but it was not something that a lot of film companies wanted to put out.
Yeah.
But like New Line, I don't think was as big as as it would get. They had been around a long time though, making movies, but I don't know if they made any famous movies really until they made Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm trying to think of another. They put out a bunch of John Waters movies before that, I believe. But the first, so the first commercially successful movie New Line ever put out was Nightmare on Elm Street. So they were like really, that's why they called it the house that Freddie built, because they were trying to get a hit movie, and they passed on The Children.
I mean, come
I
on,
would have done it for them right there. They would have got it in 1980 instead of 1984.
Dude, five years earlier, brother. You would have had a fucking hit 5 years earlier if you just would have played your cards right.
Oh yeah. Now you never know how things are going to work out for you, right?
So it was ultimately picked up by World Nerthal, who was better known for releasing martial arts films from Hong Kong.
Oh, of course.
So let's see. So this is also so this is also Shannon Boland's last film. She played Molly, the crazy store lady with the shotgun.
Yeah.
Her character was interesting. She's like known to be doing some old films and shit like that. So
yeah.
But apparently like she was also like a singer too. But in the film world, she was actually known for this film. Of all things to be known for.
Yeah, The Children.
And of course, this one is funny to me too, which he denied it. Kevin McCarthy was approached to play a role in this film, but obviously he turned it down.
Yeah, so. Kevin McCarthy, he's a real actor, so he probably went on to do more important things.
He was like, what are these kids gonna do to me? Hell no, brother. I ain't sitting in no makeup chair. And then lastly, but not least, when the sheriff inspects the empty bus, the June 18th, 1979 edition of Newsweek, Hollywood's Scariest Summers on the bus.
Yeah.
Alison, how much do you like Newsweek, and how long did you have the prescription with them?
For Newsweekly? Oh, for at least 10 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Hollywood's Scariest Summers.
Oof. Yeah, man. Got some great stories there.
Looking forward to that issue every year.
So, but yeah, I mean, one little step with this movie, I would say, but I think we should all get into the main course of this first Retro Blood December holiday edition review of the month of the year 2024. Let's get into The Children.
Yeah, let's do it.
It's time you believed in a new kind of horror. The horror of The Children. Some to imagine has happened to the children. Something beyond your worst fears.
Jenny. Jenny, darling, is that you? Mama. Tommy! Tommy!
Something evil is happening, and it's happening inside the children.
I said to stop it! Cut it out! Stop it!
Please don't. Damn it, the phone's dead. And both on that, he was shooting the children.
The children will take you one step beyond horror to sheer terror. Something terrifying has happened to the children. Pray you never meet them.
With two nuclear plant workers who are not satisfied with their pay because they're not going to get overtime pay, so they're leaving without double checking
Yeah.
anything. Those freaking union workers not getting their overtime.
People, yeah.
Screw it,
People
brother.
just doing the bare minimum. They're not even doing the bare minimum. They're not even double checking. Now we're going to make a bunch of crazy goth kids.
And Alice,
That's how you make them these days.
That's how you make them
exactly.
nowadays, you know?
1980.
So we are at the, check this one out, Alison, and tell me if this is going to be on Craigslist or indeed anytime soon. We have Yankee Power Co.
Yankee Power Co. I bet not.
Yes.
Delivering the best Yankee Power
North.
Co. Delivering the best power to all the Yankees in the Northeast.
Yeah. We'll power all you Yankees up, but you fucking Southerners, you ain't getting none of that power, brother. So we have the Northern Tier, number 1, nuclear generating facility. So that's where we're at. And of course, one of the guys recommends to go get a beer. The guy's all down for it. Nothing like getting beer after work. I know I partake in that very often. And of course, the guy's like, well, I didn't bring any money, so you got to pay for me. God damn. There's always that one.
It's just like me. It's just like me when you take me to the bar. I'm like, oh, I forgot my wallet. Need you to pay.
I was like, you better be washing them dishes then. All right. So then we see a leak at the power plant. All right. So then now we get all these kids on the bus. And they're singing all these songs like the beer. I doubt these kids sing that beer song anymore on the bus.
No, but I don't do that.
I don't know if kids even sing on the bus anymore. They're too busy playing on their iPads and their iPhones.
They're probably just watching the TikToks.
Yeah, the TikToks now.
Or whatever.
Can we bring singing on the school bus back? Back when these kids were bored as shit?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Singing 99 bottles of beer on the wall.
Yeah. God, that would not fly today.
No, you can't even talk about beer these days without people threatening to take your kids away.
Did I tell you a story when I drew a beer can? I got in trouble from it for daycare.
Oh, that sounds hilarious. What happened?
So I was in daycare, right? And I forgot what grade I was in. But like, my parents worked and shit. So I had to like stay after school. So they had an after school daycare program. So they would stay maybe an hour or 2 after school was done. So I'm sitting there. The girl tells us to draw all kind of pictures of shit. And I drew a beer can. She got all pissed off at me. And she told my dad, he's a troubled kid. He's drawing beer cans. I'm just like, what the fuck?
So did they think that you were drinking beer?
I have no idea.
Or did they think that that your dad was drinking beer and therefore he was an abusive alcoholic?
Well, she acted like I was the beer drinker. I was like fucking 10 years old. I don't know.
That's fucking ridiculous.
I have no idea.
I mean, I have heard stories of people drinking a beer in front of their kids and then somebody warning them that they'll take their kids away. I'm like, are you fucking for real? Is that the world we live in now? But I mean, whatever.
So we have Kathy. We'll find about her later. She drives by the school bus and waves. And then we have the school bus driver. His name is Fred. And Fred notices that there's a nuclear smoke cloud. He's like, oh, that doesn't look good, but he drives into it anyway.
Yeah, because what can go wrong? What's the worst gonna happen?
So next we get is it has to be like a horror movie like requirement, but we're at a small diner. All right. And we have a lady named Sally, and she's the diner waitress girl, and she basically is begging the sheriff to ask her out because she wants to drive in that machine thing
Yeah,
that he has outside.
his police car.
And this is when we meet our sheriff. Yeah, his police car. This is when we meet the most useless sheriff in horror movie history, Sheriff Billy Hart. And he agrees to pick her up at 10 o'clock. And Allison and everybody, I have a question for everybody out there. And you can send us the answer at retroblood69@gmail. You can Instagram us, Retroblood, Facebook us, Retroblood. Sign up to all that stuff. You can tell us this question. Allison,
Yes.
is the small diner the only spot for some local sheriff to get his ass,
Yes.
his pussy,
That's where
his joy trail?
yes, absolutely. That is the diner is the meeting spot of every small community, and that's where you go meet everybody. So when you want to go meet somebody for a date or after your date or before your date or whatever, you go to the diner. Just like all those Archie comic books, they always go to the diner, or in Riverdale, they go to the diner and hang out. Yeah.
But it's always the sheriff.
House.
It's always the sheriff, and it's always the local diner's waitress that wants to fuck him. It's like a requirement.
Yeah, in these horror movies, it is like the waitress of the local diner always wants to fuck the sheriff in all of these movies.
Because you don't see the sheriff, getting some ass at the fucking movie drive-in. You know what I mean? You don't see him do that. You don't see him go into the prison cell and pick out his lot there, do you? No. They get that at the diner.
Yeah, and the sheriff is almost always named Billy for some reason. I'm not really sure why.
Well, it's a common sheriff name.
Common ass sheriff.
So now the Billy leaves, and Sally just stares at him weirdly through the window. Which there's a lot of like random staring through this movie. It's really weird.
Yeah.
So up next we have Susan. She's trying to sell her apples, and we have a young cop named Harry, and he's basically trying to get her apple. If you know what I'm talking about. All right.
Oh, I know. I get you. Little innuendo there.
Little innuendo. You like that?
Yeah.
Huh? So she's complaining that there's nobody who's been driving past her house to get these apples. And eventually the dad comes by, and he said he's about to leave. And then now Harry's asking, Harry's like, okay, we're going to be alone. She's like, yeah, we're alone now. So they're going to go try to fuck.
I think I'm alone now. Yeah.
So now we have Sheriff Billy. He sees the school bus from earlier in a ditch near a graveyard. He looks on the bus. That's when we get that magazine. That's when we get Alison's favorite magazine. It's on there. Scary Stories magazine, Newsweek and shit. Yeah. He leaves the bus, very confused. All right. And now he's going to go by one of the kids' family, the Ghouls.
Ghouls.
All right.
Yes.
So we see Joyce. She's out there sunbathing in a bikini. That won't be the first one who's sunbathing in a bikini. And the sheriff, he don't give no fucks. Like this sheriff, I'll give him that though. He'll just walk up on naked chicks. Like he doesn't care. Like he'll just walk right in.
Well, if they're gonna be naked, you just walk up on them.
Like it doesn't matter if there's their property and stuff. You just walk on the property. It doesn't matter what you're doing. He'll just interrupt you. Okay.
Well, yes.
So he's asking Joyce, "Hey, have you seen Tommy? Has he come back from school?" She said no. He's like, "Well, I found the bus over there abandoned." And it's like, "Okay, well, don't tell his mom that's in here. I gotta. She's not feeling good right now. I'm gonna go give her some more codeine."
Yeah.
All right.
In pain apparently.
Yeah. So Tommy is the kid that's missing, and we have Tommy's mom playing the piano, and apparently she has some sort of like injury or she's fucked up for some reason, but it wasn't really explained. Like what's her deal?
Yeah, not a lot of it was explained, but yes.
So Joyce now she got dressed and everything. And I can't tell if Joyce and the mom are like some lesbian couple or something. I have no idea.
I didn't think about that. Maybe.
I have no idea. Okay. none of this was explained. I'm just guessing all of it.
Right.
And if there's somebody who does a deep dive into the children
Oh, there
podcast,
is.
then
is.
I'm sorry, but I just assumed that they were a lesbian couple, and then she's the mom is fucked up some way, so she's hyping her up on codeine.
Oh, there's somebody out there that's listening to this show that The Children is their favorite movie. It
Listen,
always
that-
happens. Every time we fuck something up, there's always somebody who loves that movie and will let us know. But yeah,
let's know.
So,
All right, so now Joyce needs to see for herself of what's going on with this bus. Okay. So they go to the bus, they see it's not there. And of course, when they get back to the bus, it's like in a totally different spot. That's pretty funny. And now Hart is calling Harry. And Hart was like, when I say Hart or Billy or Sheriff, that's all the same guy.
yeah.
Okay. So he is calling Harry, that detective. Harry's about to fuck the blonde girl, Susie. But Hart cop blocks him by calling him for work.
Mhm.
Okay. And he asked, like, hey, did anybody pass you? Like, did the school bus pass you today with the apples? He's like, no, we didn't see any school bus. He's like, well, the school bus is by the graveyard. And Harry's like, that's impossible. Like, how could the school bus be by the graveyard if they would have to pass where we're at? And I didn't see it. All right. So now Hart is asking, to maybe try to go visit some of the families to see if any of the kids from the bus are there. All right. And that's what Hart's about to do too. And then Joyce is going to try to go back home to see if she hears from Tommy. But before she can go back home, she actually hears Tommy's voice from the graveyard.
Ooh, spooky.
So this is when we first get our first goth kid. And the reason we're calling them goth kids is because apparently when you go
fingernails and pale skin.
Well, hold on, Alison. Let me explain everything to everybody. So apparently when you're a kid, if you go through a nuclear cloud, you get black fingernails and you become a zombie who wants to hug and melt people.
Right.
So I got that right.
That's exactly right. Yeah.
Because that's what Tommy does. He goes into a hug for Joyce and he melts her ass. All right. Oh, by the way, the fucked up lady that might be her lesbian lover is Lizzie. Okay. So let's see. So now we meet Molly. And the first line we hear from Holly is, Hank, those birds are skinny.
Yeah. Gotta have fat birds.
So apparently Molly, like, this must be like a super duper small town. Because apparently Molly, not only does she have a chicken store, I guess, but she also sells guns and ammo. And she's also a dispatcher for the cops at the same time. How does that work out? Isn't that like an interest thing or something?
Well, you gotta have a bunch of small part-time jobs in this town to make it through.
Yeah. So Hart comes in. He asks Hank and his brother, hey, I'm going to make you guys some deputies.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, well, that's easy. I guess they need to work, I guess.
Yeah, they just deputize them to block off the roads. But realistically, though, I have a feeling that character had so many parts in the movie because of actors. Like they just didn't have enough actors. So they're like, okay, you do this part and this part and this part.
Yeah.
Like your character does all these things.
So Molly says she hasn't seen Fred. Fred's the bus driver. And she's like, oh, don't worry about Fred. Fred is basically a kid himself. And I'm like, well, in 2024, that can mean a whole lot of different things.
Yes.
Okay. Which we'll actually get to in our next review next week, which is a weird story too.
Or tomorrow,
yeah. Whenever we film. Oh yeah, it is tomorrow.
It will come out tomorrow, yeah, for our plan.
Tomorrow. My ginger snap beer has made me forget.
Yeah.
So she's not sure how serious this is because she's not basically she's saying, Fred would never do this. Fred would never kidnap the kids or nothing like that. And she's basically saying, it's not like Fred to just leave the bus there. So then we meet this character named John. He walks in, and John is actually his daughter was on the bus, and his daughter's Jenny. Okay, which we'll meet her pretty soon. And John, he needs some ether from his car, and of course, Billy is asking John about, hey, is your daughter Jenny home, or is Kathy home at all? And he's like, I haven't talked to him and stuff today. He's like, okay, well, can we meet at your house, or can I pick you up in like 10 minutes? Okay. And John agrees to it. And Molly is trying to call him and kind of call Fred, but she can't get a hold of him. So this is actually my favorite part here. So Hart, our sheriff,
Yeah.
goes and meets Janet's daughter, Janet's mother.
Right.
I think her name is Shelly.
Yeah.
And she is sunbathing with her tits out, brother, for our 18 to 34 males that are at the drive-thru.
That's why it's your favorite part of the movie.
That and
Jim.
her lover
Yeah.
is the buffed up jack dude we've been talking about all show.
Yeah.
I believe his name
Doing
is
curls.
Yeah, Jim or whatever his
Isn't
name
it
is.
Jim? Maybe it's not. Maybe I'm wrong.
Who cares? His character is so fucking useless. It doesn't matter what his
It
fucking
doesn't
name
matter
is.
what his name is.
So he was up there jacked as shit doing curls, which was cool. And of course, Billy just walks in there. He don't give a fuck. He's like, yeah, I'm seeing your tits. I'm seeing a jack dude in a Speedo. I'll fuck both of you right now. That's what he was basically saying.
Mm-hmm.
So he's saying like, hey, have you seen Janet anywhere around? And of course, the mom's trying to be a smart. She's like, well, my daughter's a little young for you, isn't she, Sheriff? She's only 9 years old.
Wow.
Okay. All right. I was like, damn, okay. All right. And so basically the Billy's explained to her, like, listen, I found this school bus. The missing kids are on there, and Janet was one of the missing kids on there. And she's like, oh. And then this is the mom was like, oh, there's a missing kids in Ravensback. How exciting. That shit never happens here. All right. So she basically kind of like, blowing it off and stuff.
Yeah.
And then Billy says something about moral rights and crap. I didn't start paying attention. And then he takes their stash that they apparently got from India or whatever, and he just throws it in the pool. He starts being all serious. And they look at him like, oh, what a stooge.
What a stooge.
So now we have some kids lurking in the forest. John's cars goes out again. I laughed in my notes. So we have Billy stops by to help John with his car, even though they're supposed to meet 10 minutes anyway, but he had to go to help him with his car. And now they're going to talk to another family, the Chandlers. Okay. Mm-hmm. And one of the kids, Ellen, which is one of the co-producers' childs, she comes into her house and she hugs her mom, and the mom gets melted.
Ooh.
And now she's trying to hug her dad, and she melts the dad with her gothic fingernails.
Mm.
So now Harry, all right, and Susie, all right, and they are by the blockade with Hank and his brother, right? And this is actually my other favorite scene in this film.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, Susan, she has her tits popping out of her shirt, and she is basically kind of want to fuck Harry, like right there on the spot. Because that's what 80s blondes do. And the brothers are like, they're like, look at her hair. Yeah, look at that hair. It's so fucking nice. All right. So basically, Susan and Harry's like, listen, I'm working right now. I can't really make out with you and stuff like that. I'm like working and stuff. And she gets all kind of pissy. So she leaves to go deliver some apples to the Chamberlains. And then when she leaves, I think Hank does one of my favorite lines in the film.
Yeah.
If I may.
You may.
Have you gotten in that sweet thing yet? Because if you don't, we'll do it for you.
That's awesome.
That's a great line. I'll give him that. And then they start, get him some shit or whatever over like, not kissing her. Then out of nowhere, which this doesn't go anywhere in the film at all. I'm not even sure why it was here. Maybe to fill up some time. We have a guy rolls up named Sam Butler. And we're all supposed to know who fucking Sam Butler is. I had no idea. To me, they look like two cocaine dealers. Maybe this is the guys.
Maybe they were.
Maybe these were the guys selling cocaine on the set. They just
maybe because that we were saying there's a cocaine dealer working on the show, in the movie,
Yeah.
And it looks like we found him.
So they won't let him. Harry won't let him by. He's like, nobody can get by here. We got to block off the shit. And then the Sam guy's like, well, call Dee Dee. And I'm like, who the fuck is Dee Dee?
Right.
So they call Dee Dee. And then eventually Dee Dee says, yeah, let him through. Maybe because she wanted her cocaine,
Maybe.
I guess. And then Harry just lets him through. And then Sam and his driver tailgate Susie. And then they leave. And then we don't see them again at all. They're gone. So no idea why that was in there, but it was there. So now Susie is bringing Peterson, Chandler's, the apples. Nobody's home. She drops the apples. She leaves the house. She finally sees her brother, Paul, which is one of the missing kids. Paul tries to hug her. She gets away. She finally goes into her barn, and Paul grabs her, and he melts her off screen because we can't show Susie being melted.
Nope.
And apparently the dad also gets melted as well. So we're just melting all these people. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So now Billy doesn't want to okay. So now
Yeah.
okay. So Billy doesn't want to go into Kathy and John's house to check on everybody. He wants John to
he's the sheriff.
He's a sheriff. He just wants John to do everything.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, go in your own house and make sure everybody's okay.
Might be dangerous. Like, I'm not going in there.
I'm like, aren't you the fucking sheriff? Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, it's
okay.
fantastic.
So John's like, no, it's okay. Just come in the house, man. And it should be all good. I'm like, okay, was there like a backstory between John and Kathy we don't know about? Like, what's going on here?
Maybe.
Like, it wasn't like nothing was explained at all. So John goes in there. He sees Kathy. Kathy's pregnant. Okay. They see their other son. I don't have his name right here, but it's their younger son. They see him. He's okay. He actually got off the bus before the kids went into the nuclear cloud. All right. So he's okay. Kathy's passed out in the studio. And then John is now explaining to her that he tried to call her and his wagon broke down.
Yeah, my wagon broke down. My wagon's currently broke down, but yeah. But it's that sucks when your wagon breaks down.
Yeah. So he's talking about the bus and all the kids missing, and they found the bus and all the kids are missing. And then she's like, okay, well, I'll cook you all pot roast. Okay.
Oh, gross.
So now Molly is trying to call the sheriff. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, like, hey, there's something going on at the Ghoul's house.
Yeah.
And then eventually Harry hears it. So now Harry is going to go and check on the Ghoul's house because they feel like there's some, like, the kids have been, not necessarily haven't spotted, but there's something going on at the Ghoul's house that Molly wanted them to go check. So now Harry leaves, and then those Hank and his brother are like, hey, if you leave, send that Susie girl back over here. It's like, damn, there's some horny guys. I like it. So now Harry passes a school bus. The door is open. They didn't bother to close the school bus door. And then Harry finally sees the kids. And he's calling Molly. He's like, hey, I found the kids. Harry Hogg has done it again. And then Molly makes fun of him for calling himself a hog. Okay. Right. She drinks a stiff one. All right. She's trying to tell Sheriff, hey, Harry found the kids, but Harry Sheriff is not picking up because he's too busy eating pot roast. All right. And she said, like, hey, Harry found the kids at the Ghoul's place. And during this, Harry goes up to the kids and he tries to go and hug. And of course, Harry has now been melted.
Uh-oh.
So now Billy and John hear that the kids are at the Ghoul's house, so they rush to the Ghoul's house. So then when they get there, before they get there, they see Harry's car. And then they see Harry and he's all fucked up and melted. They don't know what's the hell's going on. They're like, what the hell happened to him? He's dead.
Yes.
They're like, how did that happen to him? It's like, I don't know, but I'm damn sure going to find out. That's what Billy says. Fucking useless sheriff, brother. I'm telling you. He ain't no fucking Tom Aikens in Night of the Creeps, that's for sure.
No, that guy's a real cop. So
they go to the Ghoul's house. They go in the house. There's no dog barking. Oh, yeah, by the way, it's a dog. I didn't mention that earlier. They see, so basically they're trying to call the phone nearby. All right. And then they hear a noise. And then the sheriff just hears a noise through a door and just starts shooting. He doesn't even give a fuck what's even in there.
No, just shoot it.
And basically what he shot was a dead dog who's been melted.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So he's trying to call Molly the whole time. Okay. And he finally gets a hold of Molly. And he tells Molly, like, hey, there's something weird going on in this town. So, make sure you're safe and everything. She's like, oh, don't worry about it. I got guns. If anybody comes in there, I'll blast them. The kingdom come. All right. And this is also when John finds, apparently, I named him Jack Dude, but Tommy or whatever. That's when he finds the dad, Janet's dad, all melted in the pool.
Right.
So he's dead. So now we're back with Sally. All right. And Sally is waiting to be picked up for a date. And guess what? There's no date. So she just leaves. Well, that went nowhere.
That went nowhere at all.
Right.
What a plot point.
What a plot point. So Billy is now, he's saying to John, we have missing kids, we have dead deputies, and the phones are dead. What the hell's going on over here? So then when he says that, they see Janet. All right. And they grab Janet, and they're basically going to take her home now. All right. Back to her, I guess her dead dad.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what the fuck they're trying to take her. All right. So now they get back to the Ghoul's house, and Sheriff is like, okay, I'm going to sit here. I'm going to watch Janet, and I want you to go back inside to look for the parents. And I'm like, wait a minute. Aren't you the fucking sheriff? Didn't you do like the dangerous part? You know what I mean? And look for the parents while John takes care of the kid?
Yeah.
No. So John's like, all right. So this is actually, sorry, I skipped ahead. This is when John finds the dead dad, which is, I guess his name was Jackson.
Guess so.
There's so many J's in this movie. Jenny, Jackson,
Dude, like,
Janice, and fuck.
That whole scene where which will come a little later, where they meet, I think it's Janet on the road, and they're like, Janet, where's Janelle? And all these J names just start popping up.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? Like, pick
Fuck,
different
bro.
sounding names. It's too confusing.
Yeah. Don't they know somebody's going to review their show like
40 years later? Yeah. Like, come on,
Assholes.
man.
Yeah. So the sheriff's waiting in there, right? And now Janet's hungry. She wakes up and she grabs him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And then the sheriff gets all freaked out. And then Janet eventually walks off, and she walks past the barn. All right.
Sure.
So we see John's wife, Kathy, make a dinner. All right. And then we see the kids are now calling for Molly. And Molly's like, oh, it's the children. So she opens the door. She's calling everybody that she found the children. They're all here right in front of her store.
Mm-hmm.
She opens the door. She goes outside. And now Molly has been melted by the goth kids.
Ooh. Or yay, depending on how you look
So,
at it.
so during this, Billy and John hear Molly screaming. I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. Interesting. So then we have Kathy, John's wife. She's now drinking while she's pregnant.
Yeah, because that's what you do in 1980.
Yeah. When you're a stay-at-home wife.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I guess so.
She's also smoking too.
Yeah.
She tells the baby sorry. So Janet, then during this whole time, the Janet girl, or it's either Janet or Jenny, tries to get in. Too many J's. So now, yeah. God damn, there's another one.
Janet and Jenny.
All right. So now we have, and there's John too. Maybe we could talk about John. John,
Jackson.
Janet, Jackson, Janet. God, every J's in this fucking movie. So John shows up. He's freaking out at his wife, which is always funny.
Yeah.
They haven't found Jenny yet. All right. And Kathy asked, like, what's going on in here? And they said Harry was shot. And then John's like, give me some coffee right now. All right. And then we hear a news report about missing kids. And basically, John didn't want to tell his wife what's really going on. All right. So now we have Jenny breaks in. Kathy's about to go hug her. But then right before she's about to, Billy stops her.
Mm-hmm.
And then now John and Billy go follow her to the barn. John tries to touch her hand because he's like, he doesn't want to like hurt his daughter. So he touches her hands and he gets radiation to his hand.
Yep.
And then our boy Billy, he don't give a fuck about no goth kids. He just starts shooting people.
Yeah, he's just like shooting kids.
Yeah.
Like left
And then he gets the fuck out of there.
wow.
And then John is back in his house getting his hand taped up. He yells at his wife again, "Give me some ice water, woman." And then Billy and John stop talking. And then Billy's like, John's like, "Did you miss those kids?" And Billy's like, "Yeah, I think I did." It's like, "No, actually, motherfucker, you shot those kids."
Yeah, you shot him like straight in the fucking face.
But apparently, when you're nuclear reactive goth kids, bullets don't hurt you. Kind of like Superman.
No, they do not. Yeah, well, yes, kind of like Superman. Yes, they do not. They just bounce right off.
Yeah.
But the thing that gets me the most is like the guy's like, "Did you miss those kids?" Like, in what world would you like blow children away with a shotgun and then just go back inside?
Yeah. Well,
like, it's just fucking crazy. But anyway.
And Ravensback, I guess that's what we do.
I guess so.
Speaking of that, Kathy is up there getting his John supplies. The next thing she knows, she hears gunshots.
Yeah.
She looks out the fucking window and Billy is just wasting these fucking kids outside. He's like, "I want to make sure I don't miss these motherfuckers again." Kathy runs down and she knocks his ass out with the base plan.
There's another. This reminded me of seeing this. The thought of it reminded me of like, there's a 70s movie called Who Can Kill a Child or something like that, or Who Can Kill Children, and it's a similar theme where these children become murderous, and they're the whole thing is like, can you kill a child even if it's like trying to kill you? But apparently in this movie, you can just like shoot kids with a shotgun, and there's no fucking issues with it all.
So then John comes in and is like, "Woman, Kathy,
maybe some coffee.
Give me, woman, Jenny is the one who did this to my hand." And she's like, "Oh shit, really?" All right. So now Paul, it's another one of the kids, goth kids.
Yeah.
He wakes up the younger kid, the younger kid that John has.
Mm-hmm.
Younger kid lets him in. They play hide and seek. They play around for a little bit. Eventually, Billy wakes up. Kathy apologizes for knocking his ass out. Billy's like, "Oh, I understand." And then eventually, Kathy sees a melted kid, and this is when Kathy hears a noise upstairs, which is the younger kid, and she goes and she sees that their younger son has been melted by Paul. And now Paul is going after her. John shoots Paul. All right. But then Billy comes up with a great idea. And Billy's idea is to take a samurai sword and cut off the goth hands.
Right. Because that's what melts you.
And he did that. And the hands fall off. The hands turn to normal hands, no black finger paint.
Right.
And Paul is dead and there's no blood at all. And they're kind of saying, "Oh, there's no blood." They don't, and then they do the reversed Predator, where they say they don't bleed.
Yeah, where in Predator they said if they do bleed, or what is it? What is the Predator line?
No time to bleed.
No time to bleed. Yeah, that's what it is.
But in children, it's they don't bleed.
They don't bleed. Right, because they're radioactive goth kids.
So now Billy's thinking like, you know what? I'm a sheriff over here. Why don't we just let this pass?
Yeah.
It's kind of like the cold. You know what I mean?
Let's just go to sleep for a couple of days and it'll be fine. Just call it a work. It'll be all right.
Everything be fine. So then the one of the Chandler girls comes in, and then they cut off one of her hands. Remember that for later.
Plot point.
So then Billy and John, they're like, okay, we basically got to go find these kids, and they have an axe and they have a sword now. Okay, and they're walking outside to Friday the 13th music.
Yeah, we didn't mention that. Henry Manfredini did the music for this movie and Friday the 13th in the same year. Friday the 13th came out in May. This movie came out in June and or September, depending on how you look at it. So he was probably writing these scores at the same time, and I'm pretty convinced.
Bro, it sounds like
it's
exactly
the same
like it. It has the exact same. That little like it sounds like a little Tinkerbell.
Yeah, I think it's like a finger symbol or something that he uses in both of them. But yeah, it's I was listening. Strangely enough, I know the children's soundtrack is not on Apple Music, but the Friday the 13th one is.
Yeah.
Listening to it, and I'm like, it sounds exactly like the music from this movie.
Yeah.
It's it's almost like it's the same music, but he probably just wrote them at the same time.
Same time, yeah. Least them out, brother. That's how you do it. So they go back to the basement, nothing there. They go into an old chicken shack, nothing there.
Chicken shack.
Then they eventually hear the kids. They're upstairs at the barn. John goes in there for Jenny. He's about to chop her goth hands out, but he can't do it. But Billy, he don't give a fuck. He has no problem at all. He cuts out, he kills these kids, no problem. Fuck them kids, brother. You made me miss my date at 10 o'clock that I forgot about anyway. And then while apparently, like when you have a nuclear goth kid who melts you, when they get their hands cut off, they make weird noises.
They do.
Not like, you know, normal screaming noises and stuff. It's like weird, like stock music noises and shit. So John walks out. He's all stoic and shit. Billy comes down. He throws down the sword and he walks to his car. Sheriff calls. He's like, he asks for it. Hey, can anybody hear me? And then eventually the girl, the Chandler kid, remember that one they cut off with one hand?
Yeah.
She is still there. So she uses her other good at goth hand to melt Billy.
Like, why would they not cut off both hands if they're cutting off children's hands?
Yeah. Well, she wasn't in the barn.
Oh, that's true. But she
only went through. She only had one hand like a zombie go through the door.
Oh, I see. True.
Yeah. So then John hears this. He sees the sheriff all fucked up and melted now. So now he goes crazy and he axes the Chandler girl.
Yeah.
And she's all cut up in body parts and her gothic fingernails go away. So while he's doing that and he's sitting out all day hugging Billy's melted body, he hears Kathy from about 3 miles away scream. I don't know how he heard it. Like he literally runs through the whole forest, all the way into the house, all the way to the back of the house.
Yeah.
And she basically, Kathy's saying, hey, the baby's coming. I need your help.
Yeah.
Boil some water and get a knife to cut the cord.
We're going to have the baby right now. I was too busy smoking to go to the hospital. Yeah. Now we're going to have the baby.
So Kathy's going to labor. While we hear them doing labor shit, like push and push and push, we see all the dead kids' hands hanging out everywhere, all these dead bodies and stuff. No blood, just body parts hanging out everywhere. Kind of weird looking. They deliver the baby. We have shots outside. All right. They deliver the baby, and the baby is now breastfeeding to Kathy. And then when we do a close-up on the baby, it has gothic radiation hands.
Oh. Does that mean we're going to get a sequel? No.
And I was thinking, you know what? Like, who is the most famous radiation guy I can think of?
Toxic Avenger?
No, I was thinking Dr. Manhattan.
Oh, Dr. Manhattan, yeah.
Maybe this is a origin story for Dr. Manhattan that we don't know about. You know what I mean? Maybe that baby sucking the teat is the original Dr. Manhattan in an alternate universe. You know what I mean?
True. Yeah, I mean, you know.
We ain't making a sequel of this shit. You kidding me?
Well, you know, no, we're not. Yeah. We're not getting a sequel for this. But yeah, the children. I mean, it wasn't terrible.
I can't believe we did this twice, to be honest.
But we did. Of all shows to have to do it twice, we had to do this one twice.
Stuff.
I mean, I thought once it gets to the part where Billy's like shooting kids with a shotgun,
that was pretty funny. Pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good.
But
out the window.
Yeah.
Like, they don't bleed. I want to make sure they do. Fuck them kids.
Yeah, that's pretty fucking insane.
But everybody, thanks for joining us here on the Retro Blood.
Yeah. Hopefully this got recorded.
Yes, hopefully. God damn.
If it didn't, you're not going to hear the fucking
we're not doing this the third time. So what we got coming up for you guys? Actually, it's gonna be a pretty fun month because we're talking all about, you know, bad kids. We're talking about evil toys.
Yeah.
Because, you know, we already done like a lot of stuff for Christmas already. We already done like bad Santas.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've done like evil like elves and shit like that. You know what I mean? We did all the Silent Night, Deadly Night movies from the 80s, which were fantastic.
Yeah.
But we were thinking, like, you know, we're very slim pickings on our holiday horror month. But I was like, you know what? Well, why don't we just talk about another thing that's when people think about holidays and Christmas and Hanukkah and all that stuff. Yeah. They think about brat kids and they think about their toys that are evil.
Yeah.
That's what we're talking about this month.
Yeah, we should do a puppet movie.
Well, we are. Because if you all join us tomorrow, me and Alison will be back and we're going to be talking all about Dolls.
From
1987.
Yeah, Charles Band movie.
Yeah, the guy that did Beyond.
Yep.
Was it Beyonder, Reanimator, and the Archives?
Yep. And
then he did this movie.
Yeah, well, it was directed. This was directed by Stuart Gordon.
Yeah, Stuart Gordon.
Who has directed some good movies, and he also made this.
That's the one that I was talking about. Stuart Gordon is the one who did Reanimator. He did the Beyond. That's all in our archives, everybody. Which those two movies are way better than this.
Yeah, Charles Band is a producer who produced a bunch of things, but at this time he was doing Empire Films, and he produced this piece of shit that we're gonna do next week. It's not that bad. It's good. The show will be great. I can tell you that.
Okay, but just turn it tomorrow, everybody. It's a little wacky, but it's not that bad. And then after that, we're gonna be doing The Pit.
Okay.
About a boy and his evil teddy bear.
Yeah.
And then we're actually doing two of the most famous series of horror movies that got their start in 1980. Mm-hmm. All the sequels happened out of the 80s, which is very interesting. The first one we're doing is going to be Puppet Master.
Oh, another Charles Band movie.
Yes, the original Puppet Master. That should be pretty fun.
It's a great film. I love that one.
And then, of course, our special holiday, Christmas, Hanukkah episode. We're going to be talking about one of the most famous horror movie killers of all time. And actually one of the famous horror movies of all time. Mm-hmm. And that's going to be the original Child's Play.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
Chucky, brother. He's coming to get us. So that should be very fun.
It's going to be a good month.
It's going to be a very fun month. I like it. If we have time, we might do a lights out, but we'll see. But we got five Retro Bloods coming out for everybody. So hopefully we won't have any more technical issues. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. But we'll get all the shows out to you guys. Like I said, this is a punk rock podcast. You know what I mean? We just do what I do.
Yep.
But like and subscribe to us. If y'all like what you hear, go to the Instagram. Like us on Instagram. Go to the Facebook. Like us on the Facebook. I'm kind of on Threads. I do it here and there.
Yeah, I don't do the Threads.
I'm not on the new Blue Sky yet, but I will be later. A YouTube channel. I know some of the stuff hasn't been posted onto YouTube yet. I'm gonna start getting all those posted on the YouTube channel again.
Yeah.
Hopefully, if everything works out with us, hopefully we'll be doing our first live video. Or video. I would like to do that for the Chucky episode. We'll see what happens. But everybody, check us out. Podbeam, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Check us all on there. Like and subscribe. It really helps out the show. If y'all have any kind of recommendations for any kind of horror movie month or movies you want us to do, retroblood69@gmail.
Yeah.
Let us know. And Alison, what kind of music are we playing to get on out of here for the second time?
Oh man, we need to get out of here. Let's play. Man, since we are since we're doing it a second time, let's play Queen. I'm in love with my car.
Let's do it, brother. Queen, I'm in love with my car, because we didn't have a whole lot of car lovers on here.
Well, we had the lady from the diner.
That's true. Yeah,
she loved his car.
Yeah, that machine of his.
Yeah,
she did love it, so that counts. So, well, maybe she can find herself another sheriff. But in the meantime, we'll see you all later. J.S. Alison, James Kline. See y'all.
See you guys.